know what it is, the Front Left Podcast, front left of all conversations. You got myself, Tezza, and I'm joined with...
Trey Songs.
Josh, I left the you know.
And we've got a special guest in the building.
It's not Trey Songs.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Lydia Mccartney.
Okay.
Nice to be here.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you for having us. Obviously, it's been a nice sunny day
I'm
today.
not having you. You're having me on the podcast.
It's him throwing me off because he said Trey Songs. Now my mind's going all over.
Oh, I said Trick or Trey. It's still Trey Songs, isn't it?
Maybe. It's copyrighted, isn't it?
Alright, well, back in the day, I used to be called Trey
Trey
Tunes,
Tunes,
innit?
Trey Tunes,
Real
yeah.
ones and
With the
all.
Z at the end.
But yeah, getting into it. So, Lydia, you're our special guest here today. I mean, like, we're here to talk about, you know,
Who is Lydia?
who is Lydia?
That's it.
Oh, that's a bit like vague.
Who is Lydia?
Like, this is your life.
This is it, right?
That is a loaded question.
Yeah,
And
it
I've
is.
got so many shots.
It's already, man.
I was gonna unravel that a little bit, obviously, because I had a little look at like what you're about. Obviously, you're here to talk about yourself. I'm not here to talk for you, but like, you know, you're a feminist. Is that correct? Or would you not use that title?
You know what? Like, there was a little bit of resistance about using that, and I think because people just picture like this burn your bra men hating vibe, and I don't know, like, I think starting my own podcast made me realise that, yeah, I am a feminist and I shouldn't really, like, shy away from that, because I think it's coming forward and talking about the issues that I talk about in the way that I talk about it that redefines what being a feminist is. And whether you're male or female, if you want equality for women and you respect women, essentially you're a feminist. So, yeah.
I like that.
Just before we continue with the conversation, cheeky plug to the name of your podcast, because you just said you got a podcast.
Oh, so it's called Little Girls Aren't Taught This, which I just think is such a cool name. And like, when I was thinking of it, I was like, yes, that encapsulates everything that is so important to me, because I didn't just want it to be like a self-love podcast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the podcast, and you can check it out if you want to.
Okay.
Definitely.
Alright, let's get to... First of all, I'm still thinking about that feminist line, because, not gonna lie, there's girls that I speak to who are feminists and they're quite hard-hitting with it. It's like, I think I had it wasn't even a debate, it was one person shouting at me, basically.
Happens a lot.
Yo, it was just literally, and it was like, do you think like every man or men, I think I said something and they were just like, well, you don't know us women what we go for. No one's arguing the point, and the way you just put it across, that I like that. Not everyone not everyone classes themselves or doesn't need to be like, oh, I'm a feminist shouting it to know the rights of women and what. That's how it's meant to be. Like, do you all respect your mum?
Yeah.
Then you're a feminist. That's how it should be. Not men are trash.
Nah, but I get what you're saying with the do you respect your mum, are you a feminist? Because there's some people who respect their mum, but they might not respect other women unless they find them attractive. That's a common thing that happens.
That's true.
So, or they might not respect a woman in specific areas and domains because it's their privilege, or they might not have to, if that makes sense. So I think when you say like, I'm not saying you, I mean like in general, when people say like, do you respect your mum or your sister, or the classic line is like, imagine that with your mum, or imagine that with your sister. I think that's a bit, I don't like that line, because I'm thinking I shouldn't have to picture my mum or my sister in this situation to now give that person the leeway or the respect.
I don't know. I think that holds emotional type, because imagine now, I'm using this as an example, but like if you see someone die and the first thing that they always refer to is that was either somebody's mother, somebody's auntie.
Yeah.
You have to always refer it to something to get that emotional pull instead of classing it as an unknown, as you won't get that sympathy.
Yeah, but I think as well, though, like, it's not, for me, it's not solely about sympathy. It's about, like, understanding. And even if it's like with the Black Lives Matter movement, I can't understand. I'm a white woman. I cannot understand that. I can never sit here and say, oh, I understand even your experiences, because I couldn't. And it's not about me being sympathetic towards that. It's about me having empathy and respect for that, and actually saying like, okay, share this with me in the best way that you can, and then me understanding my privilege and using that as a tool to help change and help spread that message. And I think that's really important, because there's going to be certain things that, and I think this year has just been crazy for really important political issues, like massive. And I think actually it's triggered a lot of people because it's brought a lot to the surface. And I think it was the Sarah Everard case for me that really triggered that self-reflection. And, you know, I was really big on feminism when I was doing my undergrad, and then fell away from it, and then come back to it. And it was just like that, it just ignited it, and I can just talk about it. And I'm so passionate about it when I talk about it. And I'm like, no, this is the stuff that people need to talk about. And even if guys can't understand my experience, you're not going to be able to. You're not a woman. You're not going to get it. Just like respect it and listen. That's all we want, is we just want people to listen to what's happening.
So are you one of them that used to go like, men are trash? Did you used to tweet that?
No, I've never, ever,
That's
ever
good.
been like that,
We're
to be
friends.
honest. I just think I'm more interested
Did
in...
you just say we're friends?
Yeah.
I started smiling as well.
Thank you.
I hate them ones that always say, tweet, men are trash. But then you just like, lads don't go around saying women are trash who tweet it all the time or post things like that all the time. But women constantly do it, and I don't know why.
Because there's a lot of hate there, and also there's a lot of frustration and anger there, and I think that comes out from their lived experiences where men have disrespected them and they don't know how to heal and move forward from that. And unfortunately, it's what we do. We put people in a box. So, you know, stereotypes. We stereotype. Women, we will stereotype males, and unfortunately, it takes... It's bad to say, but you meet more of the males that fit into the stereotype than you do the males who don't fit into that. And I also, what was really interesting is I had a conversation with a guy when I'd done a post about the Sarah Everard case, and there was a movement called Not All Men, and I was like, I'm not here for this. Like, this movement is bullshit, and I don't agree with it. And I was speaking openly about that, and then a guy actually broached me. And we had a really, really good conversation. And he was like, you know what, it's so difficult. And he was saying exactly what you're saying. It's so difficult to have these conversations with women because they just get the back up and they don't want to listen to what we're trying to say. And I was like, that's a side that you don't hear either. So it's actually quite interesting that we're talking about it on this podcast.
Yeah.
How would you, for somebody who wanted to gain either more understanding or wanted to, you know, bring something, let's say, into their workplace to sort of, you know, promote change and, you know, equality, what would the best way for, I'm not saying that you got all the answers, but what would you say is a good way to, you know, start a conversation if they were to approach a lady or a female?
I think, honestly, before you do that, you have to understand it for yourself. And I think that's where the missing link is. It's like, what it means for me to be a feminist, it means completely different to other people. And I say this with self-love. What self-love means to me, how it shows up in my life, is completely different to my clients. So if you're wanting to start a conversation, understand how you feel about the subject. Take that time to go there with yourself. And often you will understand that if you get uncomfortable about it. So with that Not All Men movement, I was like, no, because what we're doing is bracketing off men. And I don't care if you're not a male who doesn't catcall me in the street. Actually, do you understand how sexism works? Do you understand what it's like to be a woman and to be objectified constantly? No, you do not understand that. And it's about you feeling into that and thinking, okay, how do I add to that? Do I objectify women? Am I sexist? Do I make jokes in front of my friends? And just get really honest with it. And, you know, I respect anybody who has that level of honesty for themselves. And it makes the conversation easier, because then when women are coming at you, you know you're grounded in your truth and what you actually believe in, and you know your intentions. And then if that person doesn't want to give you the time of day, don't waste your time, don't waste your energy.
So can I ask you a question? It goes back to what you just said, like being like catcalled or the way that you're being approached and so on. What if now? So I've always said it, like, okay, obviously when girls do get it, it is a violation. But then what if it's the person you're attracted to does it to you? The reaction's completely different.
Yeah, we kind of said that last week.
Huh?
I said that a bit last week as well.
Yeah, like literally, like I could say, or one thing I could say to you, and if you was like into that person, could be deemed as like, I could do like a flirty sexual joke to you, to that person, because you like that person, you're like, woo, woo. You get what I'm saying? But then if you didn't like that person, it's harassment straight away.
Well, I think that's where there's a fine line between it, isn't it? And I think that's why it's different. But you sounded like an alarm.
It was the noise. It was the woo. I was like, shit. Man's hitting the vocals.
Oh man, that's when you get wooed. I'm blushing, man. I'm blushing.
I think honestly, like, it's different for every person, but there's a difference between, you know, being fun and sexual, and there's a difference between being objectified. Like, they're two very different things. And honestly, the stuff I talk about is like, it's not about saying to men, oh, don't, you know, flirt with me, because we're human beings. We thrive off that. We do love it.
Yeah.
But it's just like there's this expectation of, I know that's going to happen. I know if I wear certain clothes, this is going to happen. And also, like, if there's energy between two people, and this is all, it always comes back, and there's energy and it's reciprocated. Like, if I walked in here today and I got a vibe before yous, and if, like, I didn't feel comfortable and you made comments, well then, yeah, because I'm on the receiving end of that. So it would, for me, land in an uncomfortable way. If I walked in here and thought, fancied one of you straight away, and there was an energy between us, then it'd be completely different. And that's what people need to read into more, and also that's what people need to understand. And it comes back down to boundaries as well. But it's not always objectification. And something I always talk about in terms of respect, like in this issue, is women having that level of respect for themselves and that understanding of, like, we do things because we think we have to do it because it's what we're conditioned to do. So we are so overly sexualized. It's ridiculous. And now it's become a point where women feel like if they don't feed into those sexualizations, they're not worthy enough. They're not going to be noticed. I used to do it. I'd walk in this bar with the tightest, shortest dress on. I'd feel very uncomfortable, but I'd be like, this is what I need to wear on a night out. I didn't think about it, what I was doing. And then that would obviously attract attention of, like, being groped and, like, you know, being... guys would just come up and stick the tongues down my throat, and I'd be like, and this is the type of stuff, like, you can just be at a bar and a guy can tap you on the shoulder, turn around, and he can just kiss you. And you don't, and it's, but in a way that feeds that, it's like the monster, isn't it, of the society that we live in. It feeds that, and you think, oh my god, I'm so attractive, and, like, I'm so, look at me, like, getting snogged at a bar. And now I'm older, I look back and think, wow, if someone done that to me now, I'd be like, what are you doing?
It's a straight case. But then I've also seen, that's actually shit, man. That's a lot.
I've got a question. Go on.
You go first.
So, not to make it controversial, obviously, but in terms of, like, the society and the objectification and stuff, from, like, a woman's point of view to other women, because I know, like, men can objectify women, but what I see from my experience is there's a culture of women objectifying other women, not even in a negative way, in the sense of that, like a competition rivalry way, where you know that if you, for example, you said you're coming into here, if you were to go somewhere, you know already that there's an expectation probably in your own head that half the girls there are going to look a certain way. So if I don't now meet that standard, I'm going to be looked at differently. So how do you battle with that? Because there might be women who I'm not saying you exactly, but in general, like, women might get, like, that whole I wish I looked like you kind of thing. And
Self-love.
Does that not feed into the objectification?
It does. And, you know, everything about this culture, like, this just shitty culture feeds into it. And unfortunately now it's what is epitomized. It is the Instagram / now what it's shifting over into is the OnlyFans culture of this pristine, perfectly beautiful woman. And, you know, part of my job is unraveling all of this bullshit, because, you know, it's good for a short time, and then I have women come to me who are so incredibly insecure, and they're, like, in the 40s and 50s, and I'm like, and they just say to me, Lydia, I've wasted so many years of my life. And I'm like, yeah, because you don't know anything different. So I think
wasted so many years
because you just, when you're not connected to yourself, when you don't love yourself, when you can't go out there and chase your dreams, and, you know, you're constantly worried about what people think of you, you're constantly worried about what you look like and comparing yourself. Do you know how much headspace that takes up? You don't have time to go and think about the joys of life, or notice the good things, or just be unapologetic in your energy. Like, you don't have time for that, because you're too consumed trying to fit into what other people want. And I think the most important thing that people need is self-love. Like, we're not born hating ourselves, but if you asked 100 women how many of them have self-love, you can guarantee it, the majority of them would not have it over have it. So what changes that is what I ask. Like, at what point does that change? Because we did not grow up as little kids hating ourselves. We were unapologetic.
I don't know. I think insecurities. I've got two questions, but I think the insecurity part is, I don't think it's just, I think that's a human trait. As you have envy, jealousy, happiness.
Oh, absolutely.
I think insecurity is one of them things that it's not talked about, because I've spoke to people, and even me myself, I have insecurities, and then when I speak on them flaws, people tell me, like, hang on, you shouldn't have them insecurities. And then when I speak to other people about their insecurities, I'm like, hang on, you shouldn't have them. As human people, these are our flaws that it can be worked on and you can overcome it, but there's always going to be that little voice in your head that tells you that, okay, well, this is not good, or you don't look a certain way, or you're not happy, because what is actually true, how can I say this, like, fullness of happiness, because there isn't a definition. You may feel like there's a definition of happiness, but these things are just words. No one knows the true definition of them all.
You know what it is? It's like
Happiness
owning.
is a journey as well.
It's owning your bullshit, and it's just honouring. Like, for me, of course I have insecurities, but I'm a self-love coach and I talk about it. But you know what? I control them. They no longer control me. The thoughts that come from that. And if they do, I take the time to feel into them. And this process is not about being perfect. This process is not about saying, I'm going to be able to get rid of all my insecurities, because unfortunately we live in a society that breeds insecurities. But actually what it's about doing is going, yeah, that's my insecurity, and you know what, instead of trying to hide it or shame it or feel a certain way about it, I'm just going to take ownership of it, because you know what, it makes me me. It's a part of who I am. And I think that's another thing that we don't do. We don't like truly feel into the whole human experience. Like, we don't fully feel into being human, and because we think we have to be like perfect, or like I said before, like fit these ideals. But actually for me, the beauty of life is being like, when I went through grief last year and I was like in a fucking hole, and I was openly sharing that I was in a hole, and I was a coach, and I was like, you know what, like, my mental health is so bad at the minute, but I was just like, I'm just going to honour it. I'm just going to own my shit. No, I lost my nana last year.
I'm so sorry.
No, yeah, it's fine. I'm okay about it now. But last year it was not good. And it truly made me understand that, yeah, there's insecurities. Yeah, there's moments where your mind will run away. Yeah, there's moments where limiting beliefs will come up. But it's about being grounded in yourself and thinking, am I going to honour how I'm showing up today, or am I going to choose to put a facade on and put a front on to people? And that's why mental health is so bad, because people choose. It's easier to put that facade on, isn't it?
But do you think it's people choosing to put a facade on, or is it people don't know how to? Because what you kind of touched upon, it's a psychological approach, isn't it? It's like you confront your emotions and then you act on your behaviours afterwards, or you choose not to act on them afterwards. So, like, not everyone knows how to.
No.
Like, you know, inherit's not the right word, but you know what I mean, take in those kind of emotions and feelings, and then either be like, oh, you know what, I need to confront them, or I need to then, you know, put on a brave face, or I need to speak to someone, whatever it is. So I feel like some people are stuck.
Yeah.
So what do you say to those people then who are like, they don't know how to?
I say just like start small. So like read books and listen to podcasts, and begin like pushing out your comfort zone. And I think that's another thing that really propels growth, is coming out of your comfort zone. And I know for me, like, I was like that, but didn't own any of my stuff, and then had like a spiritual awakening in 2018, and it was like actually when I begin to feel into myself and notice my thoughts. And that all started from just like reading books and just trying to think a little bit differently. Like, it's not about thinking massively differently at the start, but it's about just, even if you wake up every day and aim to be 1% better, over time that is going to accumulate, and you are going to be a different person. So that 1% could be listening to a podcast episode on thought processes or emotions. It could be reading a book and dedicating, instead of sitting on your phone or instead of watching TV, you're going to make a decision to read a book. And whatever area it is for you that you struggle with, there's so many resources out there. Follow positive people on Instagram. All of these things that you can do, and they may seem like small things, but over time they land and they impact and they shift your perspective, and you begin to realise, oh yeah, I haven't thought that thought that I've thought, you know, for years of your life, and I've just noticed that. And it's not, the thing is, like, people always expect these massive groundbreaking moments, and the reality is you don't really get them on the growth journey. It's these small increments that you get.
It's changing changing habits to, is it changing behaviours every day to equate to a new habit, or is it changing habits every day to make a new behaviour? It's one of the two.
Change your habits, so put your habits in place. That's another good thing actually that I would say, is set habits that make you feel good, and think about the person that, if you don't think about trying to massively change yourself, think about yourself right now in the moment. I always say this to my clients, it's not about thinking, oh, when I get to that point, that's when I'll be that person. Because you can be that person right now. And it's about appreciating who you are in this moment. So feel into yourself and just get to know yourself. People don't really know themselves. Do we spend time on our own often? Like, not a lot of people do. They don't know.
I tend to a lot. That's me personally. But
I spent a lot of time with myself recently, and it made me realise that I don't like my own company.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
When you say your own company, you mean just you by yourself?
Yeah, like, I feel like being by yourself, I don't know how people do it. I need, even if I don't speak to that person, I need one person there. Like,
that's it. Shit, man.
I could see it, but I didn't want to say because you were mid-combo.
Like especially with COVID and stuff, where your time's isolated, and that beginning one when you was just spending like the confinement of just your gaff, and you're not doing much, and you're not seeing friends, or it just made me realise, like, me with my thoughts it's not. I've already always had that notion that, like, I've got it over hyperactive mind. Okay. And if I stop talking, or I'm not doing something to where I'm not doing anything, if I'm just sitting down and there's nothing going on, my mind will start doing a mad thing.
Do you meditate?
That's my next question. Mindfulness.
Yeah.
Meditation.
It doesn't work. I've tried
There's
it.
different ways though. Sorry to cut you off, but I think the whole notion of meditation doesn't have to be, I'm gonna sit there, close my eyes, take deep breaths. You can find, for me personally, because that's what I used to do, and then I was like, I don't feel this is as cohesive as it could be. I feel like I need to do this in another way. So my meditation, when I get into the zone, is when I go for a run and I set myself a challenge and I'm running and I've got my headphones in. That's like me meditating.
Oh, that is so powerful.
That's
meditation.
me. Because I'm constantly concentrating on my breathing, how I'm running. I've got to focus on something. So I think just replace meditation and just put it as like getting into your zone. So whatever puts you in a zone of sheer concentration, that isn't a distraction like your phone or something like that, that you can just concentrate, and doesn't even have to be for 30-40 minutes. It can just be for 10 minutes that you enjoy, and then you can then replicate that through the day. Then that can clear space in your mind, and then that becomes a routine. Like, another one for me as well is when I'm traveling around, I like to walk a lot. And I like to not talk to anyone. I just have my headphones in. I can do it without my headphones, but I prefer the music to be in there. And I just walk, and 2-3 hours go past, and I come home, and that is just, I just feel like a different person. That's my kind of meditation. It's not literally sitting there and reciting the chakras and stuff like that, but it's for me, that's how I do it. So you might find joy in something that you can just focus in. And again, like I said, you can just start from 10 minutes. Then the next time it might be 20 minutes, and then just go back to the 10, and then just it becomes like a cycle.
That's that's interesting. I never thought about it in that way. I literally thought, sit there, not in silence, but have like a calm and like either the rainfall playing or something like that
Mm-hmm.
from the speakers. But no, that's something I've definitely tried.
So how did you get onto your journey of self-love, Lydia? How did you become that person?
I like that title, Self-Love and Lydia. Self-Love with Lydia. Sorry, go.
Well, I used to be, up until recently, called Lyd Fit, because I was a personal trainer.
It's fit.
Lyd Fit, yeah. So coming away from that was like massive. I think I only done it last year.
Did people know you as Lid's fit?
So yeah, I was known as Lyd Fit.
So
like-
when they see you on the street, it's let's fit.
I know. How are you going to say that? Because that's what we get.
I'm not joking. I've been in like Tesco's. I've been in a restaurant, a cafe in Liverpool, and I've come up. People have said to me, "You're that Lyd Fit, aren't you?" And I just die of shame.
See, so
I hate it.
when people say our names, they're like, "Oh, it's just lifts," but LFTS don't mean lifts.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that.
Yo,
And then,
Tesky.
or foot left. I'm like, yes, that's the one I'm only proud of. When they like foot left, I go in the group. Someone stop me saying foot left. It gasses me every time.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Lid's fit.
So how did I get on my journey? Bloody hell, it's a long story. So I think I've always struggled with myself from like the age of around 14 maybe. And, you know, I was bigger when I was a kid. So I was different to all of my friends in high school and all of these things. And then got into a relationship, was in it for a long time, and it was just full of like
Abuse.
cheating and no, not abuse, just like infidelity and cheating and lies and all of that. And I didn't have any sense of self-worth anyway, so as you can imagine, that just like completely chipped away at it. And then I broke from that relationship and didn't have a clue who I was, like no idea, like who's Lydia, I don't know. I've been
What
in
age
this
you
Is
relationship.
this 14 till now or like?
No,
Yeah.
so we got in this relationship, when I was 17. So the issues with myself started years and years ago. I think they come to a head when I was around 14 because I was at that age, and then I got into this relationship at 17. And it was like a good relationship, but it was, well, I say that, I've just said it was full of like lies and cheating and stuff, but when I was in it, I was like, oh yeah, this is a good relationship, gonna be me forever and all that. And then come out of that, and then that insecurity that I had from a relationship completely transpired over. I joined the gym.
What year did you finish the relationship?
So I was around, I was 22 when I finished it, going on to 23, yeah. So then started getting into fitness around 23, absolutely adored it. But what I didn't know is if you're lacking in self-worth, if you lose one trigger, it will just show up in a different way. So I got into another relationship quite quickly after coming out of that one. And I just fell into this like rut of, before I knew it, I was in this relationship with somebody who wanted to settle down and have kids, and I was like, why? I don't know who I am or what's going on. I had developed a really bad relationship with my body and food, so I had a binge eating habit where, because I was on such a restrictive plan off a coach that I was working with, I at the time was a personal trainer, and I would be working from 6 a.m. in the morning, so as you could imagine, up at 5, and I'd literally get in the house at 9:30, and I was on like minimum calories. I was training, I was doing classes, and I got body dysmorphia, and I'd get to the point where I'd walk in the house and I could just hear this voice in my head, and I had a tub of Nutella, and what I'd do is go to the tub, eat the Nutella to the point where I felt like I was going to be sick, throw it out because the guilt would kick in, and that was the cycle that I was in. So around that time, before I actually was a personal trainer, as I've spoken about in the podcast, I was working in the prisons and I was a probation officer, and I just woke up one day and I was like, I fucking don't even like this job. I was like, I've worked so hard to get in, and you know what, like, I hate it. I hate dealing with negativity, hate dealing with men who were just causing misery to other people. So I was just...
Are you allowed to speak about it now? Or
Yeah, well, I've done a full podcast on it.
So what kind of cases or what kind of men would you see?
So I'd work with high-risk male offenders, so you're talking murderers, sex offenders, OCGs, all those types of people in the Liverpool area.
Was OCG?
Organised crime groups.
Oh, okay.
And then I was also a team member on criminal and sexual exploitation of kids. So like I'd meet with like the police and social workers. So as you could imagine, going into work every day, it's fucking heavy stuff.
It's a
So
lot of
you-
stuff to take
Yeah,
on.
when
innit?
you meet these men, how would they conduct themselves? Because what you're saying, and go back to the point across, at the beginning, they're the type of men that I feel like who will be objectifying women and
Oh, yeah, they
saying the
do.
maddest stuff.
Oh, they hate like a lot of them hate women.
Yeah.
So they're almost incels then. That's even more extreme, where they might even want to kill women and stuff, because like there's a whole another level of people, like Jack the Ripper was kind of like that, where he just hated women.
Yeah.
He just go
Oh
around
yeah,
killing-
whole other level. And I think before that I'd worked with female offenders in prisons and domestic violence victims, so I went from actually working with the victims crossing over to working with the perpetrators. And for me, what's quite interesting is that job was okay because there's a side of me that's very like cutthroat, so I could deal with that. I'm just like, I can deal with crime. I can, you know, like you put a male in front of me who's got that attitude and I can stand my ground, like they don't intimidate me. So in terms of that, it was okay. However, there's a certain level of when you're dealing with a certain type of people and you know there's a risk, and you know that just you walking in that room because you've got a level of authority.
Was you
they
working
do
one
not.
to one? It wasn't
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Oh.
They do
Wasn't
not.
wouldn't you have like protection, kind of like? Would you? So it was just like you and the offender. Would you not have like?
No, so you
supervision?
just so they'd come into the probation office and then you'd be in a room that was like literally this, I don't know, it's tiny. There'd be a little desk, you'd sit one side, you'd sit the other side. When you go into prisons, you'd get walked through, and you'd obviously go in as the probation officer to see them before they come out, and you just get left in a room with them.
To be fair, you're like, what, 20, 23, 24?
At that time.
Yeah.
Oh, at that time when I got into the job, I was 23.
That is too intense for
It's
someone
way
that
too.
young,
That's what I was thinking.
man.
Like how? Like
That's like someone who has 60. Oh,
like yeah. I get what you're saying.
Nah, man, that is way. You're so young in life as well to be seeing that kind of.
Because you just meet
Yeah,
it's like trauma every day,
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
or you're inheriting other people's trauma
yeah.
like every day.
So how did you used to deload? No, that's the question.
So when I originally got into this type of work, so when I finished my degree, I went straight into working with the female offenders and domestic violence victims, and that was more draining and that was really heavy because there'd be children involved like fleeing it, and it was, you know, that was hard. So my coping mechanisms at the time were the office culture of bottle of wine on chill, go home, get a takeaway for Friday, relax. And then obviously that does not serve you. So it was around the same time when I got that job that I got into the gym. So luckily enough, it crossed over. And for me, it was either go in the gym before the day started or go when the day ended. And I think that's one of the reasons why I just massively fell in love, because I could just turn off from the day, because it's also the type of job where you can't go home and say to people, wow, this happened. And I remember one of the cases that made me the decision to leave probation. It was a really, really distressing, upsetting case. And I read the file and was like traumatized. It impacts me to this day. And I just thought, you know what? I'm not paid enough. And I know that this person who's committed this offence, nothing's really going to happen, and I don't deserve to be taking that home. And that was one of the things for me where I was like, this is just too much. And it was really, really depressing. But I'm so grateful, because people have always said to me, wow, you're just like mad for your age, aren't you? Like, you've just got so much wisdom about you, and like, you're so mature. And it's because I'd see the stuff that I was seeing from 21, and then I'd be like, I'm going home having an argument with my boyfriend, and it's totally irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like, it means nothing.
You know, when you said that, like, you couldn't go home and like tell other people, was that for legal reasons or just because of the height of what you've kind of read? So where you're like, it's not a conversation to bring home.
It's not a conversation you want to bring into other people's space, you know what I mean? Because it's like the conversation. I mean, also, you can't really discuss cases, you're not allowed to. But also, it's like, in a way, it becomes so normalised. And I think people's responses to, I remember when I read that case and I went home and I was really distressed. And my boyfriend at the time was like, well, you chose to read the file. And I was like, no, mate, like, it's my job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've got to read the file because I've got to keep other children safe. Like, I've got no choice. And I think sometimes that can be the attitude of people of, it's like now I work with trauma clients and sometimes it does impact me. It impacts me as a woman. And people say, yeah, well, you choose to do that. And I'm like, yeah, but so what? Doesn't mean it doesn't mean I'm made of steel and it doesn't impact me.
So for yourself, working at that age, 23 was it?
23.
Like Josh said, you know, I wouldn't ever imagine, you know, going into a job like that, being so young, do you know what I mean?
Trust me, man.
And with it taking a lot of that energy back home or wherever. But like we had Nihad on the podcast quite a while ago, and like, do you not like have like a supervisor that you go to kind of de-stress or, you know, supervise you to make sure that you are okay to continue doing what you are doing?
Yeah, you do, but the thing with, and the problem with it is, and if you look at and like, I'm sure she spoke about it because she works for the NHS. She works with the NHS.
Does she?
I think so.
Does she? She works with like I thought she did.
I don't know whether it's the NHS, but I know she works in cognitive
Yeah,
behavioural
she works
therapy.
in therapy, doesn't she?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
essentially, because things are so overstretched, everybody at every single level is stressed out. So, you know, you take it to managers, and one of the issues is just like, well, you just take some flexi hours, go and wind down. And it's only if it gets to the point where it's like really serious that they will be like, okay, you need time away. But the mental health issues in the service, in any public service, is insane because the support's not there for the staff. It's just
It's
not there.
overpopulated as well. Like for the amount of people who need the help to the amount of people that are to help those people. And then it's almost like, I always say, like, who's the therapist for the therapist?
Yeah.
Because the therapist needs a therapist, but there's not enough people to
I know.
actually help them. So it is kind of...
So, what age were you now when you quit being a probation officer?
25 going on 26
So
when I quit.
this is, you still haven't reached your full epiphany yet.
No.
So then you
This
become,
was the beginning of
the
it.
beginning. So then you become lid fit. How was it?
Lid fit.
How was it being a PT? Because
You couldn't wait to say that line.
it's so funny. It's actually
Don't you
joke.
put your head over
So you come from a... You said just chuck on you guys.
I was like, oh, uncle, it fits, yeah.
That's a real for
Oh, no, you want to take the piss. So you've now gone from a whole completely different career.
Yeah.
Were you still in the relationship at the time?
Quit it a few months after.
Oh, wait, a few months after you became a PT?
Yeah, so quit my job in the February, ended the relationship in the June.
Okay, now you're single. You've gone into a new job. You've left a steady income to become self-employed technically.
Yeah.
And then now you're trying to still kind of on a way to find yourself. How was that? Because being a PT, I'm not going to lie, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
And like now you have, it's mad to say, but if you have the worry of not a steady income, and you need to get clients, you need to chase, and you need to fend for yourself now because your class is an adult. How was that for your psyche?
Do you know what? Like, the lucky thing about me is I got clients with ease, and the reason why I done that is because I got clients through being myself. So I was a personal trainer, and I think at the point people, so I was a personal trainer, and I'd just be like, I'm fucking hungry. I'm going to McDonald's, and I'm getting a chicken wrap. Or I'm going to get an egg McMuffin, and I'm going to sit and do a story and tell you about my clients that I've just trained in the gym whilst I'm eating. And I think from that moment, I've just been so unapologetic in myself. I've just been like, I'd get backlash off PTs going, I've just seen you in McDonald's, and I'd be like, mate, so what? So what? My job is a PT, but I'm here to live. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've just been through months where I restricted myself, and I had a body dysmorphia and all of these horrible things. Like, just let me live. Like, I don't care. I don't want clients to come to me because I'm going to start saying to them, I can make you lose this, and this. Like, and women took to me, like, so quick. And I was literally fully booked for, like, the whole time. Because I was honest. And it actually got to, like, women... The thing is, though, like, women didn't come to me when I was a personal trainer because of my results. Like, I wouldn't post about my results.
Process.
I wouldn't post about any of that. Like,
Okay.
I might do the odd little one. But they'd just come to me and say, you know, you are a breath of fresh air. And they'd say to me, like, I just don't know what it is, but I just want to come and talk to you. But then this is where the crossover point come. Because I get women coming to me and they just wanted the therapy session. And they didn't actually want to train with me, but that was the only way they could get to, like, they could work with me. And they used to always say to me, you should just, like, be a therapist. And what's always happened is, since the minute I become a PT, the women I've worked with have guided me into what I should be doing. So it happens with coaching, it happens with the types of clients I take in coaching. My thing has always been about self-love, and I think because I'm just I try and be as authentic as I can. People like it, they enjoy it, they enjoy being around me. So, you know, I built all my clients up, and then I got into a new relationship the October with someone who'd been a friend for a long time. And then literally before anything happened with him, I woke up one morning and I was like, you know what, I'm going backpacking. Text all my clients saying, you've got to use all your sessions up with me. Booked a flight for the 1st of January and flew.
Where'd you go?
This year? Last year?
No, 2019. So went backpacking around Southeast Asia for 3 months.
So hold on. Oh no, you asked the question, go.
How did the guy take it in the relationship?
Well, I'd booked it and he was my friend.
Oh.
So I'd been like, oh my God, I'm going away. And then it just so happened, because the universe works in funny ways, that we started dating in the October. And he knew. Like, and people would say to me, oh, you're going to ask him to come or you're not going to go? And I'd be like, absolutely not.
Why?
Because I didn't want to. It was me. It was for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Self-discovery kind of thing.
Do you know what? Like, I didn't even go out with the intention of like, oh, I need to find myself. I just thought, I've worked so hard for so many years. I've got this money that I've obviously earned from being a PT. And it's either move out or do something. And I think at that time, that year, all the decisions I'd made had just been what I wanted to do. And I was like, you know what? I just want to go away. And before this relationship picks momentum up, I would just want to go away and be on my own. I just want to know, like, what I enjoy. I want to make memories. I want to meet new people. And when you bring someone along, the dynamics of that change. And I didn't want that to happen. And it's actually really important to me. So I'm still in that relationship now. And I say, like, I'm going to go to Bali on my own for 3 weeks. Like, I'm going to go out and do things. I'm going to go and stay in a hotel on my own because it's very important for me to do that.
So you wouldn't want him to go Bali, where you know?
No, because we'll have our own holidays. I want to go to Bali for me because it's like a spiritual place and I know people who are over there. And I want to go over there as like a work vacation. And it's about the dynamics, isn't it? So you bring somebody into that, you haven't got that sense of self-freedom.
You're quite chill, to be fair.
Have you got a question to ask?
Yeah, because if that was somebody else, imagine like telling your missus, I'm going on holiday without you.
See, I feel like it's different when it's the man saying it, even though it shouldn't be. I feel like it's taken differently.
Do you think
he
so?
could go away on his own.
I don't know, man.
No, but you personally seem cool.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in general.
Oh, in general, it'd probably be a no-go, to be honest. Most
because I don't think if we all have misses and that and be like, oh, I'm going on holiday for 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 weeks on my own, she'd be like,
what for?
Who's there?
Yeah.
Who's waiting for you in Bali?
When you went on the your trip, like, did you feel like to take, like, obviously because I know we've all got like phones and stuff like that, did you sort of like take those with you, or were you constantly like on them, or was it kind of like you shut them completely like out?
A mix of both, really, but obviously I had to take it because I was like the other side of the world.
Of course,
My friggin' Nana was like, she was like a lunatic. So took it, but also because the time zone, I wasn't really on it as much. So it was quite nice because as the sun was coming up, like, or as my day was beginning in Asia, it was the middle of the night here. And then as my day was drawing to a close, here was waking up. So actually I'd have a small little window out the day where I could connect with people and, you know, I could FaceTime my boyfriend and stuff like that. But what I really wanted it to be was about space. And I think that's massively where I had that spiritual awakening, because I was just on my own. I was doing what I wanted to do. I was in the most beautiful of places I've ever seen, meeting the most incredible people in like Cambodia and Vietnam who've just been through like absolute just torment in the history. And you meet these people and you're like, oh my God, you're so humbled, you know?
So, you know, when you're on your trip, you're saying you meet these people. Was this just by chance? So, for example, you might wake up and you think, today I'm just going to explore the scenery and the surroundings.
Yeah.
And you meet people. And someone might see you thinking, like, she's on her own. And a conversation starts. Or did you go out with a purpose to try and find other people who are maybe, you know, exploring on their own?
No, I just let it naturally, organically happen. So there was big chunks of it where I was on my own. Like, I was in Thailand for 3 weeks and I was on my own, and I just joined a CrossFit gym and I trained. I got a little moped and I had a morning routine. So I trained in the morning, trained in the night. Would say like hi to the girls in the hostel, but essentially I was just on my own. And then there'd be some times where if we were in like in Vietnam, because it is like a high tourist place, I was with like loads of people and we were together for around 2 weeks. Yeah, for backpackers.
It's got the high peaks, hasn't it? The
Oh my god,
mountains
they've
you
done a
can.
motorbike around there.
Yeah,
It's
you can go on the
absolutely
motorbikes and stuff.
breathtaking.
Serious?
Yeah, because me and Tara wanted to go. That's why we wanted to go.
Okay.
Oh
Yeah.
my
I
god.
wanted to go for something
It's
else.
called-
Relax. I knew what you were thinking when you said it. Don't worry. He's thinking of someone, but no. It was me and my best friend Tara, okay?
He wants us to go for love.
Nah, I wasn't.
Blue.
There was no way I was going Vietnam all the way for
love.
for love.
L-O-V-E.
Continue about the peaks and stuff. Don't listen to this guy.
Set him off now. So one of the best experiences was the Ha Giang Loop in Vietnam. So you just got a night bus up there, got a motorbike, or like it wasn't a proper motorbike, but it wasn't a scooter. It was like it had gears. I can't remember what it was called. Stayed at this place called Mama's Hostel. Got the bike, and it was Chinese New Year. So the day before, because the Ha Giang Loop was 3 days, what we done was we drove down to the Chinese border, welcomed New Year in. And then we drove back into Vietnam and welcomed it in again. And then we woke up in the morning and there was like a big group of us and we just set off around the loop. And the first night I ended up in the middle of the mountains in this field with like 5 or 6 of these Vietnamese people. They'd made rice wine, they'd made food. We stayed in the house, we were up dancing all night. And it was just like one of those moments where I was like, this is just a pinch me moment. Like, look at what we're doing. We're just dancing around with these Vietnamese people. We've been singing and dancing and celebrating New Year. They've brought us in. They've made us food.
Could they speak English?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you would, not great, but yeah. And then you just get back on your motorbike again and you just go and do the loop. And I've never in my whole life experienced something like that. Like, it was absolutely out of this world.
Something you see in a film.
Something you see in a film. Just insane. Pictures won't ever do it justice. And I was petrified to ride my own bike because you could get on the back of a rider. And my dad's got motorbikes and he was saying to me, like, if you're careful, you can do it. And all the other girls I was with got riders and I was thinking, I really want to do it.
Rider?
So where you sit on the back and they do the bike for you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you got help basically.
Yeah.
Help what?
So you're on it, but someone's with you on there.
Oh,
No, so they ride it and you
ride
sit
it.
on the
Oh,
back.
yeah, I can never
Passenger.
sit at the back.
Yeah, so you do that because
Yeah.
literally, like, you high in the sky and there's just like sheer drops. So people have died on the Ha Giang Loop and stuff.
Because it's like curved and stuff in it. There's
And
no
if-
like road markings or anything. So it's like
Mad.
you need
so you
to.
could actually drive off?
Yeah.
Yeah, the people do
Yeah,
die
people
up
can
there
just-
if they're not careful. So
That's why I said to Tabo, like, I'm not too keen on this. He was like, yeah, we're going. I Googled it and YouTube it. I was
Yeah,
like,
I'm
it's not for me,
It's
man.
not for me, yeah.
if you're with the riders, it's okay. But then I
Yeah.
feel like you kind of missed the experience. And I'd done the 3 days and I remember just like crying with happiness. And I was like, oh my God, I've just done that. Like, I've just
What?
rode a motorcycle in the hills and the mountains for 3 days. And I did it. And, you know, all these experiences have just made me, honestly, who I am today.
So when you're riding along the mountains, where were you staying? Just people just taking you in for the night kind
Yeah,
of thing?
so like because we were with riders, we had maps. So like we'd just stay at different, like, the local Vietnamese people would just essentially what they do is they take people in, and
For free?
I think if you get a rider, you pay X amount. And because I was with the girls that were with the riders, I was just automatically in their accommodation.
Okay.
But yeah, they'll just like little people in the homes will just take you in for free and cook you all kinds of food. And
That's so nice. 'Cause
they're the nicest people you've ever met, the Vietnamese. They're absolutely, I just fell in love with Vietnam. It's amazing. Perspective on life when you go over there because of the war. And then when you go to Cambodia because of the genocide, you just think, wow, we've got it so messed up. Like, stressing about our struggles in Liverpool. And
So would you ever move to a country like that? Could you see yourself living there?
No, I am moving next year to America.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah, to California.
What?
Long
Yeah.
Beach?
What's big? What for?
To live out there.
Oh,
For
really?
real?
Yeah.
Wait,
I'd rather live in Liverpool
On your
than
own?
Cali to
No,
go-
no.
Okay.
Obviously not.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not that
I said
extreme.
on your own, or you going with your...
Oh, I want put living out there is so expensive. People moving out of Cali because it's that expensive.
Yeah, but you know what? It's like there's an opportunity there because my partner, his uncle lives over there.
Oh, okay.
So
family
so he's got that family tie. So I just think, what's the worst that can happen but a flight away? And also, like, it might be expensive, but you can bet I'm going to work hard every day to have the life that I want. So I'll go out there and expand my business. I'll
What-
do whatever I need to do to make that money.
What I like about America is you see more money. You see a lot. There's a lot of poverty, but you see a lot more people becoming self-made millionaires than you do in the UK.
Because there's more money out there, no?
Is there really?
I think so. I think just because of the sheer population. Of people,
Yeah.
that generates more wealth. So
But you see, there's a lot of people, but yeah, I would
the
say
disparity, because there's lots of poverty,
Yeah.
but then there's lots of...
like maybe because we just see it on social media, but like I see people carrying stacks of money, and I'm like, shit. Oh, well, I got stacks of pound coins. I don't see people in the UK having like carrying that kind of amount of cash. I don't know if it's why is it so normalized in America. I don't know.
Flashy, innit?
Maybe it's because
culture.
maybe
Yeah.
because it is it like. But imagine going to the cash point and say I'm taking out everything.
Nah,
And
that would be too mad. You'll get robbed straight away, yeah.
Well,
Do
yeah.
you think so?
You can't imagine going to the cash machine, because you see it, you get rappers and you have like stacks like a phone.
Yeah.
Imagine coming out with 500 quid. Like,
But
walking in,
you have to go to the bank to get that.
Yeah.
So then I always think like in America, like, if people have 20 bags in their bank account, like it's normal to be getting that out. That's mad.
Some of them keep it in the houses and
Do
stuff.
you think so?
There was the jacuzzi. Have you seen it with jacuzzi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he shows his vault.
Yeah.
He's got a vault.
Opens his vault and he's literally just got stacks of cash.
Yeah.
But he had to obviously
Wow.
move it and stuff. He put it on social media. I don't know why he did that.
See,
What
I
an
don't know why
idiot.
people do that shit, man.
Showing off. He's like, look how much money I've got, kind of thing. Opened his vault and it was just stacks. And it was like, if anyone knows where you live now, you're
You're
done
finished.
for.
Yeah. I think the good thing for me though is like I have a base here, and also my job's online, isn't it? So essentially, it doesn't matter where I go in the world. And therapy, actually, because I'm training to be a psychotherapist. So let's say I didn't want to use the coach title, and I genuinely wanted to, well, not genuinely, I wanted to put myself out there as like a psychotherapist. Therapy is so big in America. Everybody has a therapist on the speed dial. Where over here,
Yeah.
it's very like I work with coaching clients, and they go, "I've not told anyone," and I'm like, "Why?
Shame or
think
stigma.
it's a taboo.
Why?
I don't think I would tell anyone.
Wouldn't you?"
Nah.
I think that
I
might be
would-
different for
I'd-
Miles though.
No, I would tell
I don't
certain
know.
people. I
Would
feel like I
ya?
have to.
I think it's quite like going to, especially in the black community,
Yeah, in the black community.
to
it's
go
not
and tell
spoken
your
about.
mum that I need a therapist is automatically you going crazy. Like
Yeah.
the set things like my mum still does it now to this day. Like if I'm like sometimes I like to talk out loud. She be like, stop that. You got something wrong. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like these set little things where it's normal. But she was like, I did something the other day, and she's like, you need to cut that out. I was like, why? And I was like, I just said something. You know when it just comes out.
Yeah.
She's like, you need to cut that out. Like,
I talk to
like,
myself all the time.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, so
like,
do I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me plants and everything in my house.
see, if you was with my mum now, fucking hell, man.
You'd be like, she's crazy.
Yeah.
Talking to a plant.
But it's not. A lot of black African people have that because
I think it's...
there's still a lot of things out there which is the unknown. So
Yeah,
like,
that's what I was going to say.
if people have
Lack of
like
education.
schizophrenia or bipolar or split personality, schizophrenia is split personality, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's...
Or like if you have any
Yeah.
form of mental health, it's they just generalize it as he's just gone mad.
Do you feel like you're represented though in terms of like in the world of therapy? Do you feel like there's, black males, black women who are therapists that you guys would feel more comfortable going to?
Nah.
I would. But I feel... What do you mean? Like, personally?
I just mean like if you look at the representations, like because I think there's this like stereotype that it's like this old man who's white. So is part of it for your culture because do you feel like there's that
I think, for me personally,
representation?
I think there's like two ways to look at it. There's like the race element where because there's a taboo in like, I'm going to use the word black, but black is so like broad. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll narrow that to like the African because we're all from African background. That perspective, because that's not really a profession that I know of for people who go into, and it's talked about and it's open, especially when you're growing up.
Yeah, I
and
think
stuff.
Nihad's the only
Yeah.
black therapist I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because it's so like 0.001%,
Wow.
it's like if I was to have an issue to open up to someone, me as a black man going to someone who might be a white woman or a white man, there's the race element in it is kind of important, especially when you live in a country that isn't predominantly your race and your culture, because things that are taken as like you might go to a therapist and they might see you for yourself, that racial bias might go against someone like us, because typically, especially when it comes to the medical side of things, black people tend to be strong, you know, those kind of things. So it's like you might not even be taken as serious. So I think that plays on the minds of people before they even think I need help.
Wow.
It's like, what's the point in even going there? Because I might not even be listened to in the way. And that reflects in other fields like childbirth for women and stuff.
Yeah, I've seen that recently.
Things like that, like black women are 5 times more likely to die in childbirth. Yeah. And so there's that kind of element. So I don't know whether people inherently have that in their heads.
But
yeah.
I think what Taz just said is, I think it's the country. They're doing it to kill off black people. Not to kill off black people, but there's an agenda behind it. Because
they're doing what exactly?
Like, not catering to black people's needs. So, like, there was a kid who died, like, I think it was like a week ago, of sickle cell.
Richard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my mum's a sickle cell carrier.
Okay.
And, like, so my mum goes for blood tests and so on and so forth. But, like, you need to think, like, sickle cell just didn't come out today. It's been about for ages.
Yeah.
But why isn't it still not getting taught? Why are experienced doctors still not getting taught?
It's because it's a predominantly black thing.
But that's what I'm saying. Black people is still part of your population. But you're telling me, like, decades, like, they're still not putting in curriculums. They're not teaching them. So new nurses and doctors, like, I spoke to a couple of new nurses and stuff. They still don't know what it is. Wow. They don't know how to cater that. So that's the government now.
Yeah, it's so common.
Yeah.
It is really
It's
common.
very common.
Yeah.
And that's the government now. There's an agenda behind it.
Wow.
So it's like, okay, so this is a question. I don't know, I'm going a bit off topic, but like, if COVID only happened in Africa, guaranteed it wouldn't be a cure that quick.
No, I don't think they would.
100%.
They wouldn't at all.
Yeah.
They would exploit it to the fact where, this is going to sound really mad, but they'll probably exploit it to where other people would move in to replace the people that die, to take over what they had.
It's lost.
To continue it,
Yeah.
but through means of Europe or China or something like that. That's what's happened in the past. So I believe that's what would happen again. Which is sad to say, but
literally, there's an agenda behind everything, and how they do stuff, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's mad. Like, it's sad how that kid died, though. It's the lack of education. But
it's
the
not even that. It
education
was
the government don't want to give out.
The policeman who said that to his, like, the mum was saying, like, I need to find my son. Yeah. And apparently the policeman was like, if you can't find your son, how are you going to find him?
Yeah, that's not.
That's, I think.
And this links back to what we were saying at the beginning, where, like, you know, I sit here and listen now, and we were saying before about, I'm not going to understand, and these are exactly the issues that I'm not going to understand. However, now that I know that, it's a new level of awareness for me to think, actually, there is an underrepresentation of black therapists, and I have that awareness. So I can't go out there and massively change it, but what it's about is me as a white woman in the field of therapy thinking, I now know that there's underrepresentation. I now know these things, and I think we all have our own experiences, and we all have conversations that feel uncomfortable, or conversations where we cannot sit here and go, yeah, so my experience of that is. But what we can do is just listen and just give compassion and just try our best to understand other people's lived experiences the best we can, and then use that to go forward to, in any way, shape possible, open up a conversation, make a little bit of change our own mindsets about things. And I think that was really a nice to flip it, because I spoke about mine before, to hear you guys speak about your own perspective on things was really nice.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just reflecting. I'm in deep.
Look at us all sitting here like we've had a therapy
I was
session.
listening to the whole podcast. I'm not even the host. I'm just listening.
I was deep. I was going to ask a question, but then I was like deep in reflecting it. So kind of like moving on to maybe something a bit more positive. What do you enjoy about being a life coach? Like, have there been any moments in your you know, just in the
Life coach career.
in your life coach career that have like made you think that's why I'm a life coach?
Yeah, you know what's weird? Never call myself a life coach.
Oh,
No.
what would you?
I don't know. I'm just known as a self-love coach /
self-love
trainee psychotherapist. I think
It's a really
because
long title.
You should be like one of them people that go, what's that guy? Oh man, it used to be massive when he used to go like, if you want to succeed, if like you want to
Tony
breathe,
Robbins?
no,
Oh.
it's like, if you're drowning on the water, it used to be on every gym motivation. And
Oh, yeah. If you type in gym motivation videos.
David Goggins kind of thing.
Is that what
I know
is that
what you
him?
I don't know what
It's
it
like,
might
if you
be.
want to succeed,
The one he was really. It's David
much-
Goggins,
if you
and he's
wanna
been on Joe
breathe,
Rogan. It's
yeah,
David
and
Goggins.
he's like, this guy, yeah. Oh man, I remember the first time I ever heard it, and I remember the video because it was so intense. And he's like,
They are intense, aren't
yeah.
they?
He was like, well, if you're drowning and then you taking that breath and you want to breathe,
Yeah.
then you have to succeed. I was like, yeah. Oh,
Josh was like, I can be all I can be.
yeah, man. I remember seeing it, and then I was thinking, whoa, like, I must have been like 16 at the time, and I remember watching it now, and I was thinking, this is hella intense. Like,
Gives you that
yeah.
adrenaline rush, innit?
My mom was like, yeah, I ain't holding my breath.
Just to clarify,
I'm
this is how
breathing.
you want Lydia to, you know.
No, I'm saying, would you be doing those kind of videos?
I don't think with the
That's
same
a bit
level of
gimmicky.
intensity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But
If you love me, say it with your chest.
Everyone just like, Lydia.
If you see me on the street, it's self-love, Lydia, not Lydia fit. We rebuke
I knew he was going to come back to that.
I was waiting for the cafe. I was waiting for it. I need to get that back in.
This can be your promo video.
I know.
Like, we'll give you the content. You
Thank
can just
you.
use this.
If you need me to do voiceovers, you know,
I will honestly think about it.
like you'd be like, it just, you should. You should be. I've just thought of the whole campaign.
But you can't
Like,
laugh when you do it, though.
Yeah, you'd be like, because you should start off with like, it doesn't take 10,000 hours to be a master.
Oh
It
God,
only takes 1 second to change your life.
that was intense, just as it is right now.
Yeah, man.
We can just cut it from this film.
Wrap the pod.
Goosebumps and shit.
So why I don't call myself a life coach is because I'm not actually a certified life coach.
Oh, you need a qualification for that.
Do you actually need a qualification?
Well, you do.
You do, yeah?
I've got one kid on my Instagram.
I thought you were going to say, like, one kid on my street.
Oh, he's a good guy, but he calls himself life coach. So do you know what's mad? I wanted to ask him, how do you?
To actually be a life coach, you need qualifications. Like,
Oh, serious?
I've checked, you need like a master's in certain things.
Okay,
fields
so
and
I
stuff.
genuinely thought he just woke up one day and thought, you know what, fuck it.
No, so this is the problem. Anybody can wake up and go, I'm a coach. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make an Instagram. I'm going to get clients. Anybody can do that. Yeah. Also, there's a lot of fast track courses that people do where they pay and it's like a 6-month thing and then they're a life coach. For me personally, I've just felt like I never needed it because as you can hear, there's like a wealth of experience that I've got. You know, and I've done like my undergrad and stuff and I am doing my degree now. So for me, I don't really... It's not that I don't want to label myself as a life coach, but I feel like I just like, in a way, I just feel like it's quite disempowering to do that. That's just for me personally. Like, I think if you meet me, like my energy and everything I'm about, I don't know, I just feel like it puts me in this certain box if I say I'm a life coach. I've always just been like a self-love coach. So, yeah, I love my job. I wouldn't do anything else. And like, I had a pinch me moment before I come here because I recorded a podcast episode where a girl who I coached through trauma last year. And before we started, she was suicidal. She didn't want to be here anymore. She'd lived with her trauma for 11 years. And then we started coaching and it completely changed her life. And she went from never, ever, ever wanting anybody to know to actually just recording a podcast interview with me. And it was one of those moments where I was driving here thinking, you know, I set goals for money and I set goals for expansion and I want to do this, this and this. But the reality is 1 year ago, I was a personal trainer. 1 year ago, I'd never coached anybody. 1 year ago, I'd never coached anybody with trauma. So to sit and see her journey blows my mind. Like, I couldn't put into words how incredible that is, to just sit and feel and see her strength. And it makes me like emotional sometimes when I work with clients, because I'm just like, oh, you've got no idea like how strong you are. Like, you're just amazing. And I'm so grateful that I get to do it every single day as my job. Even in the moments where I think, am I a good coach? Is this working out? Whatever bullshit comes up in the moment for me sometimes. It's moments when I come back to it like that, and I'm like, you know what? This is what life is about. If I was to go tomorrow, I would be fulfilled and I would be happy doing what I do, truly doing what I do. I love it.
So how can people like reach out to you if they wanted to?
So you can find me on Instagram as Selflove.Lydia, and to be honest, that's probably the best place to find me. I do have a website, and obviously like I have podcasts and stuff. And I also have a program launching soon. So if there's any women that are listening to this and they really want to go through the transformative process, they really want to connect with self-love deeply, then I have a 10-week program launching soon. So they can come over to my Instagram, just drop me a DM. And yeah, I'm just like one of those, like I'll always talk to people if they DM me. Like, I'm not like one of these coaches, or I don't know, sometimes people look at me like I'm an influencer, and I'm like, I'm not.
You kind of
Technically you
are.
are, yeah.
I mean, I am, but like,
not in that sense.
I am, but I'm not. Do you know what I mean? And I think people's perception sometimes, if you come onto my page and think I'm an influencer, it can stop them from reaching out. And I want people to reach out, because I message people back and they're like, oh my God, you've messaged me back. And I'm like,
Is that the kind of response you get?
yeah, like oh my God, as if you're taking time for me. And I'm like, why was I not? Like, why?
I think anyone that takes time, if they don't know you, I think that's important to be fair.
Yeah, like, but of course, because I'm not getting DMs going, you know, what time is that personal training session anymore? I'm getting DMs saying to me like, I'm dealing with trauma, and what you've just said really resonated from me. I'm not gonna fucking ignore that. Even if you just message me and share something and say thank you, you're helping me. Like, all these people who share my stuff, these people who choose to follow me, who choose to engage with me, they're helping my dreams become a reality. So no matter how big I ever get, I will always take the time for those people, all the time.
That's good.
Perfect.
I want to just say amen.
I know, yeah, amen. I think it's a nice way to kind of wrap it up. But if you wanted to plug your anything else, or have you kind of given everything?
That was it, literally. Just, hit me up on Instagram.
Yeah, thanks for coming, by the way.
Thank you so much for having me. It's actually
problem.
been quite a deep conversation.
Yeah, man.
And it's the first podcast I've done with guys, and you know what? I fucking loved it.
I loved it too.
Hey, I like that rep.
Yeah,
That needs to be at the front of the pod.
I fucking loved it.
Have you guys got anything to? She didn't like that impression. She's gonna change that thing, you know. But have you got anything to plug yourself?
Nah, nah, not really.
New album coming out now?
No, man. My EP ain't landing.
Cool.
Well, you've just got yourself a job doing inspirational videos, so, you know.
Okay,
You best set yourself up on Instagram.
Call me
Mr. Motivator.
Like, that's it. Just call me Mr. Motivator.
There you go.
2.0.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Trey, you got anything to plug?
Nah, just follow the podcast on Frontleft Podcast on the Instagram, Frontleft Pod on Twitter, and follow us on YouTube also as well.
Yeah, I haven't got anything to plug, but all I can say is thank you to anyone who listens. Also, anyone who's new on the podcast, new to listening to the podcast as well. Yeah, go back, start from episode 1.
Start from episode 3.
No,
And then skip out the lockdown ones. Skip out 26 to like.
Jesus, okay. Start on episode 30 and go upwards.
No. 1 to like. When was the
1 to 17.
Yeah, and then 17 to like
17 to 33.
Was it that many?
Yeah.
Over COVID?
34 was with Crispin. Yeah.
That's a big chunk.
It's because I always remember 17 weeks of COVID, but that shows our dedication.
17 weeks of COVID?
Yeah, we had to keep it
We
going.
did 17 to 34. If you go back, I think it was 17 to 34.
That is mad. That's
No cameras, just us in our bedroom.
Bit echo.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I'm still repping team no days off.
Exactly, team no days off. But yeah, that was the Front Left Podcast. Over and out.
Peace.